I'm Emma Sutherland, clinical naturopath, author, mum, and your host. With over 20 years in clinical practice, I've helped thousands of women and families transform their health using evidence based integrative strategies. I'm deeply passionate about making science simple and actionable so you feel confident and empowered in your health decisions. This channel is your go to for trusted insights, expert conversations, plus practical tools that support real life wellness. Now, productivity is something I'm fascinated and just a little obsessed with. I love the concept of being more efficient. And in my work with women and burnout, time management and productivity is a game changer. It can either make you or break you. Today, I'm thrilled to have Bethany Kumsuz with us, an experienced productivity and time management coach who spent over 9 years working as an executive assistant and coach, helping high achieving professionals create systems that actually work. If you're feeling overwhelmed by endless to do lists, burnout, and the juggle act of motherhood and career, you're in the right place. Let's dive in. Hi, Bethany. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, Emma. I'm so happy to be on this.
Wonderful. Now, before we get started, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what got you into this field of expertise?
Yeah, so I started off as an executive assistant and I was supporting the MD of Australia's fastest company 3 times in a row. So you can imagine while I was doing that, I saw great moments, bad moments, everything was fast paced. And what I really saw was that people who are wanting to work hard but struggle with the systems, boundaries, work life balance. So while I was doing that, I also had my own kids myself. And when that happens, priorities shift. And I thought, why not teach that expertise that I saw behind the scenes? Now, women who want to succeed, who want to have great careers, how can we actually do it?
Such a valuable skill. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted you to come on today, because I feel like we all have so much to learn from you. When you kind of zoom out, and I'm sure you've identified some common patterns that you see in people that you work with. And I know you've written about the burnout cycle. From a health perspective, I have really looked a lot at that myself. And then the toll of that emotional exhaustion. So, can you tell us more about the common patterns you see that people do?
So I think the number one is hidden load. So we think we have a certain to-do list, right? We wake up, get ready, breakfast, feed the kids, get everyone out the window, whatever that might be, get to work, to-do list, emails, but it's not actually that. It's taking a phone call. It's picking up a spillage. It's forgetting that you needed that certain blouse, putting it in the dryer, traffic, filling up your car, getting to work, forgetting something. So many hidden aspects of our load that we don't actually include in our day. And this is where you can be thrown off the minute you wake up. And then it can take you all throughout the day until you hit the sheets at night.
I can really identify with that because I make massive to-do list, right? I like to think that I'm pretty organized, but I'm sure I've got a lot of learning to do. But I have always a to-do list. And notoriously, at the end of the day, the to-do list is only half done, if that. And I get really frustrated with myself and think, what have I done? But I know that I've done a lot throughout the day. And when I put that concept of the hidden burden of things like that, there's so much in that. I never really thought about it in that way.
Yeah. And I think one area that I really want to bring up here that I see very common in professionals, business owners, the hidden load of a meeting. So if you're client facing, if you're having a meeting with your team, whatever that might look like, there is usually what I say at workshops is when you accept that one meeting, you actually accepted 3. Now, yes, that's exaggerated. But why I say that is because there's always a prep to a meeting and there's always a post to a meeting. So that goes into one of my next areas on the common patterns. It's also overloaded calendars because hidden load is what happens within those meetings. And so really in our calendars, we'll see integration blocks, which is like the white spaces in your calendar because it's not actually free, but that's actually filled with note taking and backlog. So that's really important with the hidden load there.
And what do you think the biggest barriers are to identifying the hidden load? I mean, is it because, I mean, when I think about myself, I just think I'm such an optimistic person. I just think I'm going to be able to get through it all. But what else is going on here with that hidden load? Is it blind optimism? Is it ignorance? Is it just blind faith? I don't know. Like, what do you think it is, that human characteristic there?
Yeah, so it's what we call it is cognitive planning fallacy. And that's just where humans are just unable to really drill down what is actually included in a task, how long things take us. We often overestimate and underestimate. And a really good example of this is that there was a client who once said to me, Bethany, my site visits to see a client only takes 30 minutes. I said, no problem. Let's actually break that down and see what that consists of. In the end, it was actually a 3-hour commitment, driving, note taking, follow ups. Okay. So this is all what stops us from writing a really well executed to-do list, because often there's that hidden load.
Yeah, I can identify that a lot.
Like that.
I read about a thing called Parkinson's Law, which states that work expands to sort of fill the time available. Let's use that principle strategically to reclaim that focus and reduce the overwhelm. How can we turn it around and use it to our advantage?
Yeah. So there's 3 real areas here. Number 1 is try and always put time caps on everything. So even with those open-ended tasks, try to chunk them down and add deadlines onto those chunks. Okay. Try to give yourself those invisible deadlines. They will really help.
Okay.
Next is to always have shorter meetings. So often 1 hour is the default on a lot of our platforms, and we've just been do that systematically, right? Sometimes meetings can be 15 minutes, sometimes 30, sometimes just an email update. So be really conscious on what we're automatically exerting on a daily basis. Perhaps we can audit something there. And then the third one is to just really be aware of creating your own outer deadlines. So every single day, we've got our immediate deadlines here. We've got to get that done within the hour. We've got to get that done before like 3 p.m. But also start planning ahead of time. Phase 1 of a task looks like this, and I need this done within the week. Phase 2 looks like this. So when we look at planning and adding on deadlines, zoom in to immediate deadlines, but also zoom out to the greater planning.
Yeah. Okay. Really good strategies there. And I think the time cap is a great one in and of itself. We don't put a time limit on, like, if we don't put a time limit on something, it's going to take up more space. And especially with, I'm guilty of it, right? That little old procrastination when there's a task that I don't love. Like, I love seeing my patients. I love researching all the things I love. Not such a problem, but the things that I don't love, like the accounting side, I could just get a little distracted, consciously or unconsciously on purpose. So I love that idea. For me, I'm really going to take on board that, especially the task that I don't love is the time cap and the short phase and the long phase. What's the acute and what's the bigger picture time cap as well? I think they're great strategies that I'm going to take on board.
Yeah. And I think something that in my work-life integration kind of area where I teach working professionals, working mums, all of that, is to divide your day into 7 sections. Really helpful. Many women have used this. So you've got your daily startups, you've got your middle of the day, you've got your afternoon shutdowns. And what this does is it helps with the time debt of just pulling your day through a long span of time. So you want to kind of section it out and have all micro targets, micro routines, and it really helps the day run.
And I love that. So, actually, talking about routines, can you possibly guide us through how to design a flexible yet effective morning or evening routine that also allows for a little bit of unpredictability. The, oh my gosh, I've got to go pick up that child here and I forgot about it. All the things that come up that we just don't have in our control.
Yeah. So with routines, so we actually want two types of routines. Okay. We want the routines that we have at home, and they're both the AM starter, which is basically when we get ourselves ready. And then with the morning starter, which is when we get the household ready, engine room. And too many times we try and do these at the same time, and then things are frazzled. We're not sure where to even prioritize. And by the time we've left the door, we're feeling so fatigued, so fatigued, we don't even want to go to work anymore.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So having that morning startup is really important, and having time for you. Going for a reset walk, right? Listen to that podcast. Multitasking is okay when we're using two sides of the cognitive load, doing something physical while doing something creative, or listening to something, listening to maybe one of your podcasts while we go for a walk, right? So I think having a really powerful morning routine is all about being real in what you need to get done, but also what's going to help you in the long term. Do you need to prep anything for dinner tonight when you get home? It's just all about knowing what's actually going to help you. How do we actually get literal with what's going to support you best?
I love that because I think reflecting on my own personal self, it was only when I started getting up an extra kind of half hour early that my morning stopped feeling so fast and frazzled that I just thought, you know what? I know I need sleep, therefore I'm going to have to go to bed a bit earlier. But getting up that half hour earlier just gives me at least a little sense of an exhale before the day kind of takes off and goes a little pear shaped. But I think that's a really great, and I love how you put it, like the house or the household is the engine room. And
Yeah.
then you need to have that little breather first thing in the morning as well.
Yeah, yeah. It's hard. And especially with new mums, sometimes it's hard when they can't get that time. There's this big thing with the 5 a.m. club, waking up at 5 a.m. We have to be realistic. It's not for everyone.
Exactly.
Have to be that early.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't get up at 5 a.m.
It is not.
I'm a 5:30 a.m., but 5 a.m. It is too early for me.
Yeah, there's no need. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then one thing I can really relate to is that multitasking you mentioned, but also the perfectionism and that heavy mental load. And there's so many sort of invisible weighty forces in that and the hidden workload that you've discussed. What's your approach to women to help lighten the workload and create? I think what's most important is creating those realistic expectations because I, for one, create, and I know I do because I'm so optimistic, I create a lot of unrealistic expectations. And then the perfectionism kicks in and I get annoyed that I didn't get achieved what I wanted to achieve. So what are some things that we can do to help lighten that load?
Yeah. Okay. The framework that I work off is usually VSC, and this is what every person should have to be the most efficient as possible. Okay. And so that's broken down into three areas, which is the first one is visibility. You
Yeah.
need one source of truth for what you need to be doing and at what time you should be doing it. So everyone should have a task manager, which is AKA a second brain. And then you should have everything on your calendar, because your calendar will be able to accurately tell you when you can get things done. Okay. No point having a really long to-do list, which we call a wish list sometimes, where you're doing back to backs from 9 to 5. Like, you're just not going to get it done. So being realistic and easier on yourself is a big part of that. Now, second, so you've got everything showing one source of truth is structure and systems. So energy align your calendar. There's tasks that you can do better in the morning than doing it at night. Having those meeting buffer ins, those blocks, those focus blocks, that's all really important. The third is control. Where do we bring the control from the madness? Have that CEO hour every single week. It stands for centralize everything outstanding. You get across everything. Where's all my tasks? Where's all my clients at? Okay. So VSC, visibility, one source of truth, systems, energy alignment, and C, planning control. So that's a really good starting point for anyone who's listening that really wants to just get better with their productivity.
I love that. And the structure, I think, for me is really important. I'm getting better at managing it. I think I'm kind of okay now. But when I reflect back, I think a lot of the anxiety that I used to feel in my 30s was actually due to that constant sense of overwhelm because there wasn't enough visibility and there wasn't enough structure and there wasn't enough CEO kind of hours each week. So I really feel that if those are in place, then that mental burden and for me personally, was definitely anxiety would have been so much less.
Yeah, we put a lot of workload on top of us, so much expectations, and there are just the smallest kind of tips, hacks that we can start on a daily basis to really make that load easier for us.
Yeah. And when you work with women, do you hear that reflected that their levels of anxiety have kind of softened, or maybe it's not that direct or obvious? But I can imagine that would definitely help.
Yeah, so there's with time management, there's the systems part of it where it's like to-do lists, task managers, project managers, calendars, right? All of that. And you've got what I call is the three Ps. So you've got the perfectionism, the
Yeah.
people pleasers, and the procrastinators. This
Yeah.
is all more a mindset, emotional side of it. Now, you have to be really working on both to ensure that they integrate well because you can have all the systems, but if you're still people pleasing, you're going to have that anxiety. Their systems are not going to work. There are boundaries to us feeling more productive. And a lot of women will come to me saying, why can't I get through my to-do list? And I'll say, okay, well, first of all, let's ask, are we possibly people pleasers? Because that's actually where you need to start.
I love that you've integrated that psychological component to the strategy because I think it's all very well and good to have the theories. And even when people read about the theories or try and implement the theories, they can still set you up for failure if you're not addressing that psychological component to it. So I love that. I love that a lot. And when I think about patients that I treat for anxiety, let's say, I think of there's definitely that pattern of, well, for me, it was perfectionism, but definitely the people pleasing is a massive one, especially for women. So I can see that by bringing that up, because maybe nobody's ever mentioned it to that individual before and brought it to their attention and asked them to reflect and challenge on that. But yeah, working from both sides is going to give you that really nice synergistic effect, I'd imagine.
Yeah. And I think the more we are real with ourselves, like when
Mm.
I'm at a workshop, I'm always like, put your hand up if you're a people pleaser. Like, let's be aware of it so that we can know how to challenge it, how to work with it. It's not about me saying, you all have to say no. It's about you saying, yes, but it might be in an hour. Yes, but tomorrow, right? So there are just ways about it to complement people pleasing. And it's the same with procrastination and perfectionism that with procrastination, for example, by us saying, oh, I'm a procrastinator, it's doing more damage to us because we're boxing ourselves into a label
Yeah.
when we can go into further. Why am I procrastinating on this? Well,
Yes.
an anxiety in me. Okay, but why? Right? So it's very
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. Super interesting. And I think there's so many reasons why we do need to challenge that if we want to become, we want to grow and become kind of the people that we want to be. Like it's just so important to challenge our narratives in that way. And I think perfectionism for me really came from wanting to get things right, to just do a good job and then being told, oh, you've done such a great job there. It's reinforced all of that side of things. So I love how you're really challenging the way we feel about that. But yeah, everything always feels so urgent though, Bethany. This is what I struggle with. And working out what to prioritize can be so tricky. So how do we actually take a deep breath,
Mhm.
slow down and just work out what we need to do to manage our time with? Because one of the things I now consciously think a lot when I say yes to something, I consciously say to myself, Emma, what are you saying no to? If you say yes to this, it means you're saying no to something else. Then what's the opportunity cost of that you're saying no to? But with that sense of urgency that seems to be modern day life, how do we work out how to prioritize what to focus on?
Yeah. So, a really good tool and a very well known tool in time management is called the Eisenhower matrix. So, the priority quadrant. And it's basically four sections. And you've got the top left hand corner is what's most important, but what's most urgent as well. Okay. So, you've got importance and urgency. And then you've got not important, but urgent. Then you've got important, but not urgent. And then you've got not important and not urgent. And often that one is like scrolling on your phone, Netflix, just all of the stuff that shouldn't be on the to-do list, right? So you need to be able to understand what's actually important, what's urgent. What do we need to drop everything for? Then what's urgent, but what's not so much important. Often, if you have a team, you can delegate that stuff out. But then also, what's important, but what's not urgent. A great example of this is registering our car. And the car is never urgent until it breaks down because we haven't prioritized it, right? So it's stuff like that. So I would recommend any point of the day, if you are feeling so stressed, so burnt out, step aside, either do the Eisenhower matrix on a piece of paper, or if you like to touch, get post-it notes, put a task on each post-it note, get a whiteboard and start playing it out there. That would be really helpful.
I love that. I'm a post-it person. I would definitely, I'm going to take that on board and do that. Because I think once you see the quadrant that's it's urgent and like if it's that, it's like, oh, well, it's obvious I need to start in that section and just take something off that and get it done.
Yeah. But also, Emma, what I would really say in extension to this is a lot of people get confused with importance and urgency. Okay.
Okay.
At work, we get people asking us to do things. We've got clients calling us. We've got inboxes, alerts, our managers asking. Not everything is urgent. And sometimes people just want to know that you have responded to them. Thanks. Got your task. I've got your request. I've got your notification. I'll get back to you at X amount of time. But because of how fast paced this society is, we feel the need to just clear the decks, when that shouldn't be the goal. The goal should be, okay, I am super busy right now. Let me look at the priorities. If anything comes into my world that I can't act on right now, I will communicate to them why and when.
Yeah, I think that communication piece may be the big missing link there in that constant bombardment of other people's urgencies, because if they don't know that you've got it, they will remind you and they will come back with urgency. So that's actually something that's so simple and obvious when you say it like that. But it's not something that's obvious when you're in the throes of things.
Yes, absolutely.
It's almost like we need to have like a little auto reminder to, just tell them you got the task and they'll leave you alone.
That's exactly it. And that's what I often saw when I was an assistant.
Yeah.
I saw the advantage of those that had an EA to those that didn't. And for those that don't have an assistant, you don't have someone in your ear saying, this is a priority. We need to get this done, to someone who does, where they can ruthlessly prioritize for them. It's really important that even though we think it's things we should automatically know, it's so much harder said.
I think that is so true. But what about things like self-care? I mean, sometimes you can feel a little indulgent when energy is in short supply, time's in short supply. So what sort of tiny, almost guilt-free habits do you recommend for just preserving that daily resilience or supporting recovery from burnout? Because I really find it challenging working with women that they're like, I'm type 1. I don't have time to go for the, I don't have time And I'm like, okay, we need to just do little micro things to allow your sympathetic nervous system to exhale for a minute. What do you see from your angle that people can do?
So I think the first area there is that we have to be really conscious that we will always have more to do. Okay. There's always more tasks, always more opportunities, always more projects. Okay.
Yes.
Well, the things that we really love in life, like being with our family, walking our pets, whatever that looks like,
Yeah.
we will never have enough time for that because we will always want more. So we have to really just get specific and carve out time and make it a priority for ourselves.
Yeah.
Take that time, take that breath work while you're walking down the corridor. I often say, just take some breathers just then and there, wherever we can find the opportunity. I think that's really helpful for how fast paced everything is, forcing us to pause. And for some of us, that might feel quite impossible in an open plan office where everyone is around us. But what I say to that is take yourself completely away from the environment. Get yourself a coffee at a cafe before you go into the office.
Yeah.
That time out, remove yourself from the surroundings. That's really crucial to finding that self care element in that work life balance, or what I say, integration to reach.
Yeah. And one thing that I would say, so my perspective is definitely the expectations around the self care. Like a lot of the women that see me, they think they need to be doing like an hour yoga class in the morning, or they think that they should be doing this or that. And I often say to them, you know what? It could be, it's the mindfulness of just taking moments. It could be you're on the bus on the way into work and you look up and you see a beautiful tree with the blossoms in it. It could be just that you're observing something mindfully, that your nervous system actually exhales. And if they start recognize that those are moments where they can take to top up that fuel tank, it doesn't have to be the yoga class for an hour in the morning. It can just be those tiny moments where we're mindful and just at rest. And I love, yeah, the breathing is so important.
Yeah, getting really comfortable with those micro habits.
Yeah.
1% a day, that consistency, and just being flexible and knowing that, okay, this has happened. We need to reprioritize. I might not be able to fit in that 1 hour yoga, but I'll fit in maybe 30 minutes now and then do an extra long session tomorrow. Like, it's all about adapting because of how fast paced society is.
When that's a key point, adaptability. When we have more of a fixed mindset, it's very hard to not be instantly resentful, angry, frustrated, all of those negative emotions that, if we have more of that kind of flexible mindset, it's like, okay, it's okay. It didn't happen this time, but I can do something else instead, or not be so full of kind of that intensity, which drains our nervous system and makes us more tired. So I think that's a really good point. I read as well, you have a method, and I love methods. I love like structure called the STEP method. So surroundings, time, energy, I think it was priority.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Maybe talk us through it. And then how do we apply it?
Yeah. So this was one of the first frameworks that I ever had as a productivity coach. And it's really stuck with me, my clients, and anyone who I come across for that whole time. And that's because these four pillars are just so important for productivity overall. And it's really an audit, a 4-area audit that you can do on yourself. Whenever you're feeling stressed out or you're kind of thinking, why can't I just get stuff done? Why am I not as efficiently as possible? The first one you need to go over is surroundings. Okay. S for surroundings. Are you actually in the right environment to get that task done? Are you trying to get reports done on a busy train? Are you trying to get it done while your kids are screaming next to you?
Yes.
Okay. We have to be really real. Is the surroundings enabling us to be productive? Okay. T is time. Have I often made the time for it? I know it sounds simple, but often, a lot of the times, we don't. And this also goes into, do I actually have time that day to be realistic to get those actual tasks done? Okay. Then third is E for energy, pairing the right tasks with the right energy level. I have had a client who said to me, Bethany, I'm constantly trying to get stuff done during the evening. I said, let's try an experiment. That task that you always do in the evenings, I want you to actually try it when you wake up. And she was a 5 a.m. wake up. I said,
Yeah.
I want you to do what you need to do and then try doing it then. She had turned a 1.5 hour task into 20 minutes. And she was trying to get something done when her energy is low. And there are good tasks when your energy is low, but not every.
Yes.
And the last one is P for priority. Is it actually a priority? So relays into procrastinators as well. Some people will come to me and they'll say, Bethany, I have not been able to actually get something done. And I'll say, well, was it an actual priority to you? Or do you know that you can get it done 2 days before it's due?
Yeah.
Right?
Twice.
So it's all about making it a priority as well. So surroundings, time, energy, and priority. So always ask yourself those 4 things.
I love that. And I'm thinking, okay, so from a surroundings perspective, I actually really like going to a cafe and doing some deep work. It's really weird because it's the opposite of what you think. More noise, more stuff going on around you, but I kind of dive more easily and I just disappear. Whereas if I'm kind of at the clinic, there's always something else that kind of crops up. So I love that. I can really relate to that. And the energy thing. So I love that. Like focus on when your energy is there for those like harder tasks. And I often say to Sophia, because she's been learning Greek from my sister in Greece. And a couple of times Sophia said to me, oh, Mum, I need to practice my Greek. And she says this at 8 o'clock at night. And she knows now, literally, my brain is mush after 8 o'clock. Like, don't ask me to do technical things after 8 o'clock at night because I'm up at 5:30. Like, if she asks me at 6 a.m., hey, can we do this? I'd be like, let's do it.
Right. Yeah.
So I really love that. So let's just use me as a case study because I want to give everyone some you've given us so many like tips and tricks and things to do. But let's just pick me as a case study. I've got a constant never ending list of things to do. I'm often overwhelmed at all the things that I put on there, but I am super ambitious and I really want to get things done because I've got goals I want to achieve. What 3 simple things I should focus on?
Yep. So number 1 is we need to reduce the mental load. So you need to be able to centralize everything that's going on. So we might have to-do lists everywhere, Post-it notes, in our apps on our phone. We might buy a shiny new journal or 2, right? And think that this is the answer. But we need one source of truth because studies show that we cannot remember everything. No, but we've got to be more intentional with that. So you need one source of truth, get a task manager, simple and easy task manager. 2 is to do a calendar audit. Everything that you're demanded to attend or you have set up for yourself doesn't need to be that long. Do you need to be in there? Okay. I always find whenever I do a calendar scan, there are meetings in there that could have been made redundant like years, but they're just still there because of habit.
Yeah.
Right. So we've got to reduce the load by being realistic. There's only one of us and there's only 24 hours in a day, not a lot of time. And then third is to have a daily game plan. So always know what's most important. How am I actually going to get it done and be realistic with my time? And then to finish that, planning for tomorrow, because it is super helpful to be 10 steps ahead and hit the ground running by closing off the day and really making ends meet and knowing where things were closed off. And so how can I start tomorrow? So those 3 are what I would recommend.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. I love that how you close out the day. It's like, okay, I was up to here. So because the priorities can shift after the day's progress. It's like, actually, I've done enough on that. That can go back down again. And so it actually does really help you to align your next day. And I think that would really help to wake up and go, I've got this. Like I know exactly what I'm doing, what my goals are, what my focus points are today because I closed out last night and I know exactly what I'm doing today.
And yeah, it's so important. And like we say, simple things, but
Yeah.
they work and they do so much. So just keep it simple. Always start the day with intentions, end it by closing things off. And yeah,
Amazing. What else do I want to pick your brains out before I let you go? Are there any myths or any kind of last minute things we should know? Because I know this area time management, I'm sure there's a lot of kind of Chinese whispers about things, right? As far as what works, what doesn't, what you should do, what you shouldn't do. Any myths you want to bust or any kind of last thoughts for us?
gosh, Emma, there is so many.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine.
Okay, so I think doing more is not the answer. Doing even
Thank you.
high performers, hustle culture, all of that we see online, no, that is not the answer. It's all about just optimizing the time that you have. Like if you only have an hour a day to get something done or 15 minutes to get something done, work out how you can optimize that 15 minutes to the best return and you'll start to feel better. So I think that's one thing where I see people really, they think they've got to grind. They think they've got to wake up early.
Yes.
We don't have to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there is a very big culture of wearing almost a badge, a heroic badge of I hustle, I don't get much sleep, I'm always grinding, I'm always this, I'm always that. Um, it's something that I really don't like. The energy of it is very pushed and kind of forced. And I really like that universal law of letting the energy flow where it's meant to be, not pushing and making things happen in that way. So I think, yeah, don't wear that as a badge of honor.
Yeah, it does more harm than good.
Yeah.
And I think if we just realize that making things a priority is deprioritizing something else, like you said, Emma, is so important as well. Like the time that we have each and every day, spend it with intention, mindfulness. If you don't need to have a million systems to remain organized. As a productivity coach, I still use a pen and paper. So if anyone's thinking she probably doesn't recommend paper, oh, I absolutely do. But there is an area where it works and doesn't. So it's just productivity is about finding what works for you. That's so important.
Yeah. Yeah. Fantastic. Now, I know that you put out a lot of tips and support on your Instagram channel. Like amazing. I love it. But if people want to work with you, where can they head? Where can they find you?
So yes, I'm mainly on Instagram and LinkedIn. So Instagram, my handle is your coach Bethany. And on LinkedIn, it's Bethany Kumsuz. But basically you spell that Kumsuz.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for being with us today. I have learned a lot. I'm going to be watching this one back and actually taking notes. And I'm going to go and get a post-it pad and start my Eisenhower priorities. And I'm going to put some things in action. So thank you so much.
Perfect, Emma. And thank you so much for having me. Such a pleasure.
Thanks for being with me today. Don't forget to like this video and hit that subscribe button below. Check out the link in the show notes for all of Bethany's contact information. And please ask any questions in the comments below.